And we're live. Welcome to Josh and Aaron Talk About Stuff. I am Josh.
And I am Aaron. I'm trying to figure out 3, 2, 1. I'm like, I don't know.
Because I count us in before I click record, folks. It's
yeah.
low budget operation here.
Low budget operation, low budget humor.
No, we have good humor. We're funny.
We have great humor. Thanks. We're funny guys.
Let's see. What's the weather like where you are right now?
You know, it's actually really sunny and it's sunny and really pleasant. It's supposed to get up into the mid 60s, maybe low 70s today.
Get up nice. To it's the 80s yesterday and today, but tomorrow we're gonna get in the next couple of days it's gonna be cool. But
yeah, no, it got all the way up to 70 yesterday. I think maybe we've had one day of 80s. It's the difference between the high desert, man.
Yep.
We're sitting at 3,500 elevation where I live, so you know.
Do you need an oxygen mask?
Not quite. It's not that high up.
Okay.
There are people here that are that high up, but it's not that high.
Right. All right. So today we're going to talk about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but in two parts. We're going to talk nice about it, and then we're going to talk bad about it.
We're going to talk nice about it, then we're going to get real.
All right. So facts. Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is in Cleveland, Ohio, established in 1983.
Is this the talking nice part?
Yeah. First inductees went in 1986, and then they have inducted a class of people ever since.
You were eligible for induction 25 years after the release of your debut album.
Or single. I guess your first release.
Is it your first
whatever
release?
Is yeah, because yep.
Yeah.
And that's about it. There's a group of people that are rock experts, but a lot of them aren't musicians, which is
people,
right? And then they vote. I don't know if there's an actual I'm looking. I haven't found it. What the criteria is, other than 25 years of your first release.
I don't know if there's a criteria.
I mean, everything else would be subjective.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right, I think
so
25 years after, and then they probably look at your body of work, and they put together a list of nominees.
Yep.
I think the list I think it's 10 to 12 nominees, I think, every year.
Yeah,
and then they whittle it down to, I think, 5 inductees off those nominees. And I know that
2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people made it in last year. I don't think there's a set number because
is there not? Maybe it's based on votes and how the votes tally up. So
could be, because in 2016 there was only 4.
Yeah, so it might be based on votes. And I know that I know they've instituted a fan vote as a part of it now. That there's some way that the fan tally, and that was a big controversy last year or 2 years ago, that the resounding winner of the fan vote didn't get in, and it was so what's the point even?
Right.
Yeah, that was I know you're not a huge fan, and I love their first 2 albums and like their third. It's Dave Matthews Band, and they were the resounding fan vote 2 years ago when they were first eligible, and they didn't go in.
Right.
And no matter what you're feeling on the band is, it's what's the point of having a fan vote if it's
right.
If the fans go, this is our favorite artist, and you go, that doesn't matter, you know?
Yeah, this says the performers that receive the highest number of votes are inducted, but I don't know if there's a threshold, you got to get a minimum. The number varies, like we just said, because there were 7 in 2019. And then that started that fan thing in 2012. And so far there have been 338 inductees. Some people are in twice.
I think I'm trying to think, there's only some people are in twice, and there's 1 or 2 people that are in 3 times. I think Clapton might be in 3 times. There's a couple of them that are in 3 times. For obviously performing with this band, then solo. All the Beatles are in twice because they're all in as the Beatles, and they're all in as soloists.
Right. I have a list of multiple up, and I don't see anyone in 3 times.
Oh, okay.
There's several.
Okay.
Eric Clapton. He was 1992 with the Yardbirds. 1993 with Cream. And then he got in 2000 with his solo. So he's the only one that's a 3-time inductee.
I thought it was Clapton, but I couldn't remember for sure. I was fairly Clapton as Yardbirds, Cream, and himself.
Yeah.
So
okay, just real quick. The first class, 1986. I'm just going to tell you who they were. All right.
Yeah. So hold on, 1986. So then 1961, right? Yeah, 61. No. Yeah, 61.
Yeah. But some of these guys were in the 50s because they didn't. Anyway, so here's the inductee. What's the first class? What would you call them? I don't know.
Initial.
I don't know. Chuck Berry.
Makes sense. Nobody would argue with that.
James Brown.
Nobody would argue with that.
Ray Charles.
That would be tough to argue with.
Sam Cooke.
Okay.
Fats Domino.
Okay.
The Everly Brothers.
Yeah.
Buddy Holly.
Of course.
Jerry.
Buddy Holly.
Jerry Lee Lewis.
Absolutely, yeah.
Little Richard.
Of course.
And Elvis Presley.
It would be really, really hard to argue with any of those. I mean, some of those you might contend are R&B and is R&B rock, and I think that's been one of our ongoing discussions about the Rock Hall of Fame. Is where's the distinction between rock and R&B and rap and all this? Quite honestly, at this point, just like I think I've said to you, just change the name to the Music Hall of Fame, because it's really, because. Some of those but again, how could you argue with any of those first performers?
The only one I would be the Everly Brothers. They're the only ones I would argue on that list.
Yeah, I mean, and that's not even because would you consider their music rock? It's just like, really, are they that influential in the history of music?
Right. I mean, okay, so I think we're done talking nice about it.
Thank God that was hard.
Okay, so.
Mr. Kitchen, who leads your top list of people who should be in but aren't?
Smashing Pumpkins.
Yeah,
I know. I know. Oh, Keely's
calm
down, Dad. Calm down.
It's okay.
All right.
Chill, Dad. Chill.
Get down, buddy. Get down. So, all right. We've tried to talk about
upper invasions are always good, man.
Oh yeah, we've talked about rock and roll, this attitude, this going against the machine,
raging against it, even
band. And so I understand, so rock and roll was very, I don't know, like the 50s and the early 60s, before pre-Beatles. Rock and roll was stuff like Fats Domino and Buddy Holly.
It was very rooted in R&B and blues. I mean, that's its origin.
And then it evolves into this. So, I mean, you can't really argue with that first class, because Little Richard started in the 50s. I mean, he's.
And so many guys will even now will be like, we'll talk about how influential he is to rock,
And then whatever. So then you go through it, and it just, to me, I feel like with other Hall of Fames, inductions should be Hall of Fame is the best of the best in lots of aspects, right?
Mm-hmm.
It feels like it's starting to get diluted.
Yeah.
Because because you can have, I did see that the Sex Pistols are in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but my question is, okay, they had one album. I don't know any songs that they sing. Were they that influential enough to be rock? And I'm not saying they're not.
Right. I would have no argument with the Sex Pistols, only because I think their influence is felt kind of throughout music after them. They were kind of like they were the bringing of that British punk movement to the mainstream. With God Save the Queen and Anarchy in the UK. I would say I got no problem with the Sex Pistols, but there are other acts that I'm like, really?
Right. So I mean, if you look at the list, most of the acts were just the really famous ones.
Right.
But that doesn't mean that you're making a real mark on music, because unfortunately, if you're the first, let's say the 1950s people, they were the pioneers, but they were just first. That doesn't mean they were best. You know what I mean? You can't help when you're born, and you can't help when you make it big in the music industry, right? But Ricky Nelson, he's in the Hall of Fame. He was in the second group in 1987. Rock and roll, not in the sense that we would call rock and roll.
Right.
Was he that influential, or was he just a pretty boy, had a couple hits?
Right.
That's where I have.
That's my mom.
Yeah. I know.
Seriously, no, it's like, Mom, so Ricky Nelson.
Roy Orbison, I think, is more deserving.
Absolutely.
I think Roy Orbison should be in. But then you got like, so the Beatles get in 1988 with the Beach Boys. But Brian Wilson deserves it. Yeah. Prior to California, California Girls? Dreaming. No. California.
That's not even them.
I wish we could all be California. Prior to 1965, and then you get into like Pet Sounds and stuff.
Yeah.
Where the Beach Boys really like, how influential was Round Round Get Around and Be Cool to Your School? Like, really? Like, is that really something that is
and yet, you know them.
That doesn't, yeah, but that's because radio played the hell out of it. Doesn't mean it was good.
No, it's true. It is right, true. I
understand. Now, I like the Beach Boys. I'm more of a Brian Wilson guy, but like Temptations, I think they just 100% deserve to be in there.
Oh gosh, yeah.
I'm just going through some Four Seasons, like that Motown, the Four Tops, Four Seasons, Temptations.
Mm-hmm.
Good. The Kinks, the good music, had some good songs. Do enough to get like nobody had a string of hits like the Rolling Stones, Elvis, and the Beatles. You know what I mean?
This is what I'll say about the Kinks. This is what I'll say about the Kinks because I would have been with you up until Friday last week.
Okay.
And I saw this really seriously, and then I saw this video last Friday about the number the biggest songs that were it's about song theft is what the video is about.
Yeah.
And so it was like bands that this song sounds remarkable like this song, and a lawsuit came out of it, this, that, and that. Do you know how many featured songs by the Kinks?
I only know a few of them. You really got me. Lola.
But all of those have been stolen by more popular musicians.
Really?
Yeah, for real. So many Kinks tunes are have been yoinked by other bands.
Anybody that's still alive in the Kinks ever sees this, I like the Kinks. I'm just asking questions.
No, but I get what you're saying. Yeah. I do. I totally get what you're saying. And I would have, and like I said, I would have been with you because I'm like, really, the Kinks? Yeah. And then I saw this video, I'm like, God Almighty, everybody's stealing from the Kinks.
But like, okay, in 1990, the band, the Platters, got into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Right.
And the only song that I think most people would know would be "Only You." Only you. Okay, is that Rock and Roll Hall of Fame worthy? But like Simon and Garfunkel, they're not rock and roll, but I don't know. Maybe they are. It should be the Music Hall of Fame, right? Anyway.
That would just kill it right there for you.
But notice how I'm leaving out something. Women, So Aretha Franklin was in the second class in 1987.
Thank God.
The third class in 1988, the Supreme, so Diana Ross. She was the leader of that group.
Yeah.
The next woman that comes in, Laverne Baker. I don't know who she is, but that was in 1991. So I don't really know how her influence got her in, but I'm not saying that she shouldn't be in there. The next, Tina Turner, 1991. Tina Turner for sure. She'll leave Ike out. If you're gonna leave Pete Rose out of the Baseball Hall of Fame, you can't put Ike in.
Yeah, just kick Ike out. Out Ike.
So then you get into like, let's see here. Bruce Springsteen is in, of course. Like having a few hits, the Loving Spoonful got in 2000. Their song that you would know would be "Do You Believe in Magic?"
Okay, that's that one. Okay, I was trying to remember because I know the band name. I mean, you know these band names, just like.
Yeah, so is that enough to get in? I mean, come on now. Like, we're getting to the point where really we're just letting in all the big acts now, right?
Yeah, it's like, oh, you were a big act back in the 60s and 70s. In you go.
2-3 year period, and anyway, all right, so I think it's a crime. So The Cure is in, but they got in 2018. 3 years before.
Too long.
3 years before that, Green Day gets in. How are you going to put Green Day in before The Cure?
Dude, and I like Green Day. You know that I like Green Day. I do.
Yeah.
And I am 100% on board. Like, how in the world, or like didn't the Depeche Mode go in last year? Like,
I got it pulled up. I'm telling you, they got in 2020. Yeah.
So how in the world do you put Green Day in before The Cure and Depeche Mode? I mean, look, I like Green Day. I really do, especially their first couple of albums. but come on.
Right.
You can't put them in, and that's the issue that you and I always kind of tend to circle back around on is like, how do you leave out how is Green Day in but Rage Against the Machine's not?
Right. And
I mean,
Radiohead is in, but the Smashing Pumpkins aren't.
Right. I mean, it's become so.
I guess it's a who you know and don't piss off game.
Maybe so. I mean, let's face it. Zach De La Rocha has probably pissed some people off in his time, and we know Billy Corgan has.
Right. So in 2019, Radiohead got in, Janet Jackson, Def Leppard, The Cure, Stevie Nicks as a solo. But there's a band called The Zombies that got into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame with, I guess, 2 songs that were their best singles, or 3. But really,
no, they're not.
Now we're just
huh? No, they're like a 1960s band, aren't they?
Yeah, they were big. They had.
What are their singles?
It says "She's Not There," "Tell Her No," and "Time of the Season." In 1968.
Oh, they did the Time of the Seasons.
So now we're digging deep. Is there some quota we got to fill for the bands from the 60s now?
Right.
Like if the Zombies, all right. So their first release, I guess, was in 1964. If you haven't made it by 2008, 20 or 21, why do you need to? You know what I mean? Right. I don't know. So
there are some bands that deserve to be in there that have been eligible for a while, and they're just ignored over and over again. And some of them bands I don't even like, but it's just like I'll be honest, I'm gonna piss off the world with this one, but I don't care. I don't like Rush. I just don't.
I know one song, and it's whiny and weird. But
that's my feeling on Rush. But they are immensely influential, and popular. I mean, they just are. From everybody from, they just are. They're cited frequently by other musicians as being one of the biggest acts for them on influence. They're not in. It's
right. I mean, you got to look at one, commercial ability is important.
Of course.
The album sales is also important.
Of course.
How many chart topping singles you have is important. But that's where the musicians need to get involved, is looking at did they change music in a direction that changed up? You know what I'm saying? Did they move the needle at all? Because you could be lumped in with the generation that you're singing in, because record companies want to recreate that spark with 30 other bands.
Right.
So are you Pink Floyd definitely showed what you could do in the studio, and
I've gained a more appreciation for Floyd as the years have progressed. They're definitely a band. It's you can't ignore the impact of Floyd. I mean, I'm not the biggest fan in the world, but honestly, what's funny is that my son is the one that kind of got me listening to them, Connor, because his uncle got him listening. My brother got my Connor listen to him, and I was kind of listen. Wow, yeah, they really are. It's hard to ignore the impact of Pink Floyd.
Right. So Madonna got in 2008. Leonard Cohen is in. That's not rock and roll. Hallelujah. I don't know, man. I just feel like
it's just become a catch-all for music. I mean, the fact is, it's I think if you take the name Rock and Roll Hall of Fame off of it, and that's the problem, is it still bears that moniker, and the moniker is inaccurate anymore, because it's not a Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. It's a Music Hall of Fame. If we just let's call it what it is, people. It's the Music Hall of Fame. That's what you want it to be.
Right. But another thing is it's indie bands that are really, really good bands don't get the recognition.
Absolutely.
That mainstream. Side note, really quick, Modest Mouse new album comes out next month.
Oh wow!
They just released their single. They are Rock and Roll Hall of Fame worthy, in my opinion.
Absolutely,
they're
profoundly talented
and completely unique.
It's man, I will tell you. In fact, it may have been the new single I heard yesterday, because I was driving.
We Are Between or something like that.
I don't know. I was cruising along, and I'm the song comes on, and I'm well, there's no doubt who that is.
Yeah, it's one of the most unmistakable. If you've heard one Modest Mouse song in your whole life. Not saying that they sound the same. It's just
Brock. The second his mouth, you're just oh, that's Isaac Brock.
Oh yeah, he has this lisp thing.
Yeah, And it's not a whine.
Yeah.
I crashed my car into a cop car the other day.
Yeah.
You know, it's like this. It's this raspy, like, I don't know. You can't try to put a finger on it, but it's fantastic.
All right.
So I'm with you. Are the Pixies in?
They are they're kind of like with The Cure. They're a godfather of alternative in a way.
Good Lord. They're absolutely the godfathers of alternative. Right, like Cobain basically said when he wrote Nevermind, I was just trying to write a Pixies album. I mean,
Pixies are more like cult classic following.
That's the problem. But they definitely are worthy of the honor more than so many bands that are in there because they're the freaking Pixies.
Now, I'm not saying Kiss should or should not be in, but how meaningful was their music?
Yeah,
I was made for loving you, baby.
And Kiss is in there based on sheer volume of sales. I mean, was there anybody bigger than Kiss?
Well, they were the greatest in marketing. I mean, if you could get a Kiss pinball machine, then you've struck gold. You know what I mean? Like,
right. Absolutely.
For 2021. My mic. 2021 nominees: Mary J. Blige, Kate Bush. I know one song of hers. Devo.
We are Devo. We are not men. We are Devo.
What was their big song? What was their big song where the stupid little hats that they're wearing in the video? I should know it.
We are not men. We are. Yeah, we are not men. We are Devo is one of.
Oh, Whip It. The other one is Whip It Good.
That's it. Yes, Whip It into the shape.
Is that Hall of Fame worthy? That song, really?
Really?
Not Hall of Fame worthy. All right, Foo Fighters, The Go-Go's, Iron Maiden, Jay-Z.
Iron Maiden.
Jay-Z, Shaka Khan, Carole King. I don't know this artist. Fela Kuti. I don't know that artist.
Yeah, I was reading about Fela Kuti. Apparently, like Fela Kuti, it's actually one of those, if you read about it, is very deserving of the nomination.
Okay.
Even though we're not familiar with them, like what Fela Kuti did for music is actually pretty intense.
Yeah.
You know?
All right.
So
LL Cool J. Hip hop guys are in. Like
Mama says, knock you out.
Know, right? New York Dolls. Like, come on, we're digging deep now. Rage Against the Machine. Yeah. They're a nominee in 21.
Yeah.
Todd Rundgren. He's written a lot of songs.
He's written a lot. Todd Rundgren is actually really prolific and a pretty prolific songwriter.
Last two are Tina Turner and Dionne Warwick.
So Tina Turner 100% deserves to be in there by herself. She should be in there by herself already. She should. Rage Against the Machine needs to be in there. Honestly, the Foo Fighters deserve to be in there. Are there people that should be in before the Foo Fighters? Yes, there are. Are those people on the ballot? No, they're not. That's the problem. I mean, on looking at that list of names on the ballot, the Foo Fighters deserve to be in. Their body of work, what they do, what they continue to do, but are there people that should be on that ballot before them? Oh yeah, absolutely.
There's also some people that need to be kicked out. There's also people that should be kicked out.
Right, absolutely.
All right.
Hey, so we've gone back and looked at your music. You're out. We don't know what we're thinking.
Well, I mean,
you're out.
You can't kick him out, but they need to be like, let's get serious, people. About even if we just open it up to the Music Hall of Fame. Let's be serious about being popular. Shouldn't guarantee you into the Rock and Roll of Fame.
Right.
What are your lyrics saying? How the music, it's like.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Anyway, I think we've said our piece.
I think we could probably rant and ramble about this for another hour and still be old men yelling at clouds. But the fact of the matter is,
because if the criteria is a couple of hits, Smashing Pumpkins should be in. You know what I'm saying?
The criteria is a couple of fantastic albums the Smashing Pumpkins should be in.
Oh, God,
I mean, honestly, I think this. Okay, so we've talked about this. 1 album, 2 albums, what does it take? I think we talked about this in relation to Green Day. This maybe is the last thing I'll have to say when we talked about this in relation to Green Day and what they did with American Idiot they really transformed their sound, and they put something out that had a really socially conscious message. They transformed themselves as artists into people with something to say. And I think I honestly feel like it's the strength of that album alone is what got them in. Like their other albums were catchy and stuff, and the wonderfully named Dookie obviously shot them onto the scene, and it's got a lot of catchy tunes that still live on. But I think it's the strength of the album American Idiot that got them into the Hall of Fame, because it's got a lot to say. And if we're looking at that, then the strength of Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness is enough to. But the thing of it is, it wasn't just Melancholy and Even Sadness. It was Siamese Dream before it, and then even Gish before that. They had like this string of like 3 straight albums, those first 3, that were so profoundly good. And so it's like, it just kind of is a testament to how busted up the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame it is, and honestly, in the end, how meaningless it is.
Just change.
If you want to see your favorite artists in, even if you want to see your favorite artists go in because you feel like they deserve it, there's a part of you that knows it's like, but what's it mean?
It doesn't mean anything.
Right.
Success is not a Grammy award, or it's just all.
Oh, don't get me started on those.
Yeah, I know, right? All right. So, any last thoughts?
I think I've said my piece. I think I've yelled at the clouds enough.
Just real quick, I'm just looking. Steely Dan. I think they're
not in.
No, they're in. I'm giving you people
okay.
that are in. Steely Dan's in, of course. Queen, Michael Jackson,
of course.
James Taylor. Although James Taylor is so far from what we would call rock and roll, but he's a very good songwriter.
I'm okay with James Taylor. I mean, the guy's a great songwriter. He's like a folk rock in my mind. He's like,
yeah, but see that there you go, man. You can't just be, well, I'm okay with it because I like him. No, rock and roll, baby. Come on, man. Don't be giving in, and that's why the system's messed up.
You keep raging against that machine, Josh.
Like the Hollies are in.
Yeah,
I'm sure I know one of their songs. But come on, guys. Come on, people. The Comets. I've never heard of this band. Rock Around the Clock.
Oh, yeah.
That gets. But I mean,
but that was
whatever.
The song.
Right. All right. Anyway, so I don't know, man. Joan Baez. She's in.
The Answer, My Friends.
What does that mean?
I think her big song was called The Answer, My Friends, is blowing in the wind. It's like one of those great misunderstood song lyrics. The answer, my friends, and they're blowing in the wind. Actually, but that one is written by Dylan. So her biggest song was written by Bob. So
yeah. So then you shouldn't get in for singing a song. Bob Dylan. Well, I'm not saying Bob Dylan. I'm saying John Baez.
Bob Dylan's Bob Dylan. Yeah. Bob Dylan's Bob Dylan.
Yeah, Bob Dylan's Bob Dylan. Like, anyway, all right. So we've talked about it long enough. Nine Inch Nails did get in last year, though.
Huh?
The Nine Inch Nails did get in last year with Whitney Houston, Doobie Brothers, Depeche Mode, Notorious B.I.G. and T-Rex. T-Rex, give me a friggin' break. Anyway, all right. Sorry. But who am I? Anyway, all right. One more episode left, ladies and gentlemen. We're gonna bash some more stuff about music today and talk about some bands that we might like post 2000. All right. See you later. Have a good.
Talk about something we might like post 2000.
Yeah, there's a couple bands out there post 2000 I like. Anyway, all right. See you later. Peace.